Hi guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to start with chapter 5 and this is going to be our last chapter. I was thinking about having multiple chapters for this final part and then combining everything at the end, but I thought it was going to be a little bit easier and more easy to understand if we just keep everything in the same piece. So, this chapter, we're going to be focusing on the final project of our course, and we're going to be grabbing a custom avatar, and we're going to be creating the whole uniform for him. Okay. So, a long time ago, well, not so long ago, right? But a while ago, I did this character for another class, another place, and we're going to be using him. He's an Akrok. It's kind of like an alien species, kind of like amphibious species, and he has human-like proportions. So we're going to be using him as a base. And what's important about this is, well, I'm thinking about this story where this guy is part of an alien race, if you can imagine, that we have made contact with, and he's now training with like the army, like let's call the Earth Army, and this guy's army are now combined, so they're going through boot camp at the same time as we are. So he's maybe gonna be the main character of the movie, and or the series or the game or whatever. And I thought it would be quite nice and quite funny to have him be dressed up as a soldier, just like a normal traditional soldier. So here are some reference of what we're gonna be doing. The first thing we're going to be doing is a pants, like tactical pants. Then we're going to do some things on the top as well. And we're going to dress him just like as if he was a soldier going again through boot camp. So today we're going to be focusing on how to import this guy here inside of Marvelous Designer so that we can start working on him, right? It's actually super easy. File, import, OBJ, and we're going to import this guy, which is on your project files, Acro Clean version 2. Just going to hit open. And a couple of things that we need to change here. First, I'm going to make sure that automatically add arrangement point is set up to on. For this to properly work, your character should be in T pose or in A pose. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, it never works perfectly. It just gives you a starting point, and I'm going to be showing you throughout this video how to adjust it so that we get something closer to what we would expect to have whenever we're working with other kinds of characters, right? Like the avatars inside of here. So now I am going to say the scale also, very important. Make sure that the scale is set up to the proper scale that you did. This guy is set up to real world scale, and I did this guy in Maya, so centimeters is the way to go. And that's it. Just hit OK, and there we go. The character is inside. The collision volumes are properly working. Like, he's gonna react to all of the clothing pieces perfectly fine. I'm gonna grab this guy, and I'm just gonna bring him up because in Maya he was going a little bit through the floor. So now he's perfectly ready. Now, if we were to go here to the arrangement points and we show the arrangement points, you're gonna see that it's not bad, right? Like, the arrangement points are actually quite close to the character. But there might be a couple of things that we might change. And the way to see this is if we see not the arrangement points, but the bounding volumes. There we go. So again, it's not bad. We got close to it. At least like the chest pieces are here. The head is there. The arms are almost there. But it would be better if we could just like modify this a little bit, right? So I'm going to go to the avatar menu. We're going to go to the avatar editor. And here's where we change all of the things. So as you can see, this is the size of the avatar, the body. Actually, I don't think I've mentioned this before. Let me do a quick, what's the word? Parenthesis here, because it's actually very important. Let's bring Camille real quick, or Camila. So the avatars that are provided here by by Marvel Designer, you can actually like change them. Like, let's say you're working with a character, or you want to do like real life garments, and you have the measurements of someone. You can change this. So for instance, if I say, I don't know, it's going to be really extreme, but if I say 500, you can see how the neck changed, right? So if you have the proper measurements of someone, you can change all of these things right here. The bust, the height, the neck, the hips, the legs, like everything can be changed in here. We didn't do anything or we didn't need to use any of this for all of the garments that we've created so far because we're just following standard like procedure. But yeah, it's a really cool option. So let's just go here, avatar, to all avatars, and we'll go back again, file, import, OBJ, select this guy. Everything selected, hit OK, and there we go. Just push this guy up. There we go. Now we're going to go back into the avatar editor right here, and we're going to go to the arrangement points, which is this one right here. Now, these elements right here, these are the boards, and the boards are the green things that you're seeing where the attachment points are going to be placed. Now, I don't want to mess up with the attachment points. I think they're like doing it properly, that they're working fine. I want to mess up with these things a little bit. So as you can see, we have skirt right and skirt left. Do we really need those? No, we're not going to be using skirts. So you can just supreme or delete, and that's it. They're gone. I also don't think we need a head, like head right and left, because we're not going to be doing anything. We might need this one right here, the head vertical up, because maybe if we want to add like a hat or something, we'll add it over here. I don't think so, to be honest. But if you want, of course, we could do it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start moving some of these things. For instance, this is the body left and body right. I'm going to select both and just move them down. Let's move that. That's body right, and that's body left. And that way, it's going to look a little bit closer to what we used to have on our avatars, right? Let's go, for instance, now to the wrists. And, I mean, they're not wrong. I like to do the arms first. So I'm going to go to the right arm. First thing is I'm going to move it into position. There we go. You can try this option, which is called Fit to Avatar. It doesn't always work. For instance, this thing right here, it really doesn't work. And another thing that's a little bit annoying is that you have to do this for both elements. So what I mean by both elements is if you do it on one side, you need to do it on the other. So as you can see here, the wrist is way too thin. So here on the length, I'm going to change this. I'm going to say like 80 and 80. And that way, the wrist becomes a little bit like nicer, right? And now, we should be able to place this where it's supposed to be. So now I know that 80 is probably the proper number. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect because the simulation is going to be taking a lot of, it's going to take care of everything. For instance, the arm, let's go with 150 and 150. Whoop. There we go. And the most important ones are the attachment points at the top, I would say. We've seen this before, so something like that. And definitely closer to the body. So something like that. As long as the points are outside of the body, that should make it a little bit easier for us. Let's do the same thing over here. So we now found that the proper distance is 150. And it's just a matter of getting this as close as possible to the other one, right? Like as equal as possible. These are the shoulders. So I'm just going to bring the shoulder down here. Same for this one. And of course, since this is an alien, it's trying to find like other things that, of course, don't match that character. You bring any character. Try to bring the character, of course, in a sort of low poly version. This is like relatively high, but not super high. Let's go to the neck. It's right there inside of the character. So I'm going to change this to like 200. 200. That the neck would be important, I would say, because it could be like the color. Same for this one. So we know that the magic number was 200 and 200. And we just try to bring it exactly the same point. And there you go. As you can see, things are looking a little bit better. I'm going to go with my legs. You can see that the leg is like a full leg. Like it's starting to do the full leg. Which again, not the end of the world. Probably going to go a little bit higher on the... like the height is fine. It's this one right here. It's kind of like oval shape, as you can see. So I'm just going to push the x-axis a little bit more. Let's say 300. No, that's the other axis. Sorry. So let's go here. Let's go to 15, I think it was, and then 200. There we go. That's a little bit better. So let's go 200 here and just push it to the side. There we go. So now our avatar is ready. Now you can see it's going a little bit like farther out. It's fine. It's not going to be the end of the world. We also have the ankles, which are pretty nicely positioned. I think just moving them up is more than enough. So there we go. And after that's done, of course, we need to save. So let's save as avatar. And here on the chapter 5, I'm going to call this Ak-Rock Avatar. Save. So technically, what this should do is if we were to say, for instance, avatar, delete all avatars, and we say file, import, or open avatar, we can open this avatar, and all of the arrangement points that we have should be exactly where we left them. Very important to save your avatar, because otherwise, remember, sometimes when we open the garments, the avatar's not there. So then if we re-import the OBJ, we're not going to have this, okay? Now, of course, another thing you can do, and this is this is quite funny, but it's totally doable, is we can navigate to the paths of these things. If you right-click and copy the path, let me open a new window, and let's navigate here. It's usually going to be here on the public documents. It's users, public documents, Marvel Designer, assets, avatar. We have this. I can create a new folder. Call this, for instance, aliens. And then inside of this aliens, I'm just going to Control-C and Control-V this guy. Let's say, again, avatar, delete all avatars. And if we go here, we're going to have the aliens folder. And you just double click, and there you go. Your avatar is inside. So you can imagine if you're working, for instance, on a project that has going to have multiple characters, and you're going to be doing multiple like garment pieces or I don't know, outfits for them, you're probably going to have this sort of thing, right? Like where you're going to be changing this this guy like multiple times, and you're going to be like bringing him several times, and it's just a lot easier to have it on your library. Which, by the way, you can do this with everything. So textures, garments, everything. You just save it on that file path that I show you, and that's it. Cool. So now let's do a test. Let's do a quick test before we finish this video. Let's go to our garments, and let's say we want to add a basic t-shirt. So I'm just gonna say add, hit OK, and there we go. The shirt's there. Now we can't really use auto fit. I know we normally use this option right here, which is the auto fitting tool. But if it's not gonna work because it's not like properly calibrated, right? So that's why arrangement points are so important. So I'm just gonna hit my arrangement points, select this guy, go like there is fine, and then select this guy's. There is fine. Select this guy, go there. And do we have two patterns? Kind of looks like we have two patterns. Oh yeah, I think we imported the thing twice. Okay, let me load this real quick. Let's file on save. Do you want to save? No. There we go. So again, just select this guy. We have live thing turned on. So if we like fit something somewhere, it's gonna do on the opposite side. It knows. That's one of the cool things. Even if we didn't manage to properly line up things, it knows that the other one is the mirror image, even if it's not perfectly mirrored. And there we go. Simulate, and our character has a shirt. Of course, we're gonna have a little bit of overlap here and there. It's relatively normal, but that's it. Our character is now wearing a very cool shirt. Now, one thing I want to do is I'm going to select the character, and I'm going to go here to the color, and he's supposed to be blue, so I'm going to change his color to blue, probably like a nice dark blue. There we go. Just so that we can see a different color from the basic like white garments that we normally use. If you had if this character didn't have view thems and you have like a single texture, you could just select the character, go here to the texture maps, and in the same way that we did the texture chapter, you could just plug in all of the textures to get him ready. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. This is it for this first video of this new chapter. In the next one, we're gonna start working on the pants. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye bye. Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with the final project, the final part of the garment creation. We're still going to have more content. There's another extra chapter, chapter number 6, which is going to be the chapter dedicated to bringing the cloths out of Marvel Designer and into other softwares such as Maya, Blender, and Marmoset to create some nice renders over there. So yeah, this is the character I loaded in the avatar. We already have the arrangement points, so now let's get to work. We're going to go here to the garment section. I'm going to select this pants and just get them in there. Now, the most important thing, when you want things to fit and not collide as much, try to get the lowest point, in this case, the ankle, to be inside of the volume. It's a lot easier to bring this like bigger parts on the top inside of the character than to do the same thing for the ankle due to the collisions. So if we do this and we simulate, as you can see, the calves are not where they're supposed to be, but it's very easy to just push this out, and there we go. Now, one thing that I noticed, and you're going to be noticing this as well on your projects, is that due to the way I built this character, he seems to be leaning a little bit forward. He's like pushing his butt back. So yeah, we're going to have to tailor our suit or our garments to this type of body. So as you can see, like back here, for instance, I would definitely like to have a little bit less like a cloth or less amount of clothing. So I'm going to go into my transform point segment, grab this guy and just push it in a little bit. That's going to, of course, make it a lot like smoother, closer to the character. There's always going to be a gap, by the way. I'm not sure if we've talked about this gap or not, but it's right here on the, I think it's on the model itself. Yeah, it might be this skin offset thing. We can reduce that, or in the cloth as well. There's another option here. Ooh, here, the thickness collision. We can bring this thing lower or make it lower, and it should work a little bit better. However, I think for this, it looks fine, especially for games and stuff. It tends to look quite fine. So let's add the belt. He already has this thing going like above the line where I would like the belt to go. I do still think this is a little bit too low. So let's bring this up. There we go. Now, the only problem is we're getting a little bit of extra elements right there, or extra cloth. So we might need to, again, grab this point, keep it high, but make it smaller over here. So when we do this, there we go. It's a lot tighter overall. The high point, we might need to convert it into like a princess seam or something, but I don't think it's necessary. Let's just go over there. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to grab all of the segment points, the top segments of the pants. So that guy, and we're going to right click. Again, right click, and we're going to say offset as internal line. And I'm going to say 60 millimeters. So it's a sort of a thick belt that he's going to have right here. And yeah, that's it. That's going to be the line for my belt. If you want, you can cut and sew that line. No problem there. I think it might look good. So let's cut and sew. It's going to give us a little bit of an indentation right there. Now, usually, for instance, on the sides of the pants, if you're wearing jeans right now, I invite you to look down and see it. Usually on the sides of the pants, we have this very little thin line that that creates like a nice little border. And I think I want to add this on this pants as well. So I'm going to grab the outer edge on the front panels. So this front panel, so outer edge on the front panel. Let's go ahead and sew this because I don't want the line to go into the belt. So that's why it's a good idea to cut the element. And I'm going to select this line right here. And again, I'm going to offset this internal line. This tends to be really small, so I'm going to go 10 millimeters and hit OK. It's going to give me a nice little effect right there. Now, I'm not gonna, what's the word? I'm not gonna, like, I don't want to, oh my God, my mind just got like completely frozen, or it froze completely. So I don't want to cut this. I want to keep this thing here because we're going to be sewing on top of this. I just want the strip. I want to get the strip out of this piece. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to Control C, Control B this guy. And then on this new guy, I am going to cut this piece. So here, we're going to cut and sew. And that way we can just delete this piece right here. And there we go. We have this very nice thin line right here on the side of the character. Now, if it has any sewings, which I don't think it does right now, you need to delete them to make sure that this does not create any problems. I'm gonna Control C, Control R to bring it over here. Select one, select the other, right click, and we're gonna symmetric pattern with sewing. And now we're gonna sew this thing with segment sewing back to the little line that we have here. Actually, instead of that, we're gonna use free sewing. So from there to there, from there to there, and then from there to there, from there, oh, let's do that again, from there to there. Now, some of you might be wondering, why wouldn't we use something like what's the word? Like clone over, clone under? We might get a different result. I prefer using this method for this particular element. And again, we go all the side, and we go all the side. Perfect. So now, when we now, as you can see, the little lines are all the way down here, and it might create some issues with the simulation. One very quick thing you can do is you can just select this guy right here, like select this guy right here, and then shift select this one and say align. And then, or sorry, it's not align. It's order. Where is it? It was superimpose over and superimpose under. I'm just gonna bring this thing. That's fine. In this case, let's make it easier. Just move this thing up here. And move this thing up here. So now when we simulate, that little like extra band is going to be sewn into that piece. Now, as we know, these two bands are going to need a lot more particle density. So we're going to bring this all the way down to like 5, because otherwise we're not going to get enough detail. And now see how we get that nice little like puffy line on the side? It's going to make our pants look really, really, really cool. Now you could add one of those on the inside as well if you want. I think I'm just going to keep mine on the outside. But I would like to add it on the lower part of the belt though. So I'm gonna grab the belt and we can sew it together. That would be an option. I'm pondering whether that's a good idea or not. Now let's keep it like this for now. I think we're gonna add it on the top instead. So I'm gonna go into this guys right here. Again, select the upper edges, right click, offset this internal line. 10 millimeters is fine. There we go. And now, this one, This one I'm actually gonna cut and sew. So right click, cut and sew. And now for this one, just so you guys see the difference, we're gonna use the clone over under. So right click, clone over, layer clone over. And that's, of course, when we do that, right click, layer clone over. When we do that, what's gonna happen is they're gonna be puffing out a little bit more as well, because we're gonna get that nice little seam over there. Important thing to do as well, grab all of those guys, the new ones, right click, or wait, are we missing one? Yeah, we're missing one here. So layer clone over, there we go. So grab all of them and lower the particle distance again to like a 5 or something. So when we simulate, we get that nice little like puffy effect on the border. Cool. So yeah, that's the first like little detail. Now another detail that I would like to add here on the pants is usually in male pants you're gonna have the zipper, right? Let me show you here. So it's this sort of like zipper and stitching that we have here. And well, when we go to the bathroom, instead of pulling our pants all the way down, especially when we are peeing, we just pee through that little sewn hole that we have there. Now the hole, as you can see that there, usually extends a little bit farther to the side, as you can see here. So the zipper is usually hidden in between those lines. So there's like an internal line over here. I'm gonna do it a little bit more like jeans. So we're gonna have the shape on the outside. So on this part right here. And we're gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna go here, internal line. Let's go like about there, control, and then let's go like there. Just hit enter. There we go. I probably need to move that point a little bit more. So I'm gonna go to transform point segment, and let's move that point out a little bit more. There we go. So this side looks really, really nice. Same trick that we did before. I'm just gonna copy and paste this thing. So like that internal line, cut and sew. And that's gonna give us a little shape here, this guy. We're gonna bring it to about this area. And we're gonna use free sewing to sew this thing on that area while leaving the little gap on the front. So boom, there we go. Just gonna leave the little gap there, kind of open. Right now it's quite open. I would like to make it a little bit less open, to be honest. So I'm gonna use my transform point, and let's see if we can make this a little bit shorter. That's gonna, of course, straighten it up. There we go. That's a little bit better. Now it looks a little bit too straight, but maybe if we give it a little bit more particle distance, it'll look a little bit better as well. Yeah, looks a little bit better. And the cool thing about this is we can actually grab this line right here, the curvature, and just push it a little bit out, so it kind of goes over to the other side. And that way we save a little bit. So you can see the stitching there. I'm gonna turn off internal lines so we can appreciate the cuts of the elements a little bit more. I think now this is a little bit too low. So again, I'm gonna go to my transform point segment, and or actually too high. So I'm gonna bring this down and bring this down as well. There we go, much better. Now again, if we check the reference, there's usually a seam right there on the inside of this thing. So I'm gonna grab this guy. I am gonna again offset this internal line. In this case, I think I'm gonna go a little bit smaller, so like 6 millimeters. Hit OK, and then we're gonna cut and sew that line. And this one we're gonna layer clone over, so that we get that again, that little like puffy shape right there. See? Cool, right? Not bad for this first section. Now, pockets. I'm gonna do pockets, the side pockets for now. As you can see, we have this side pockets. These side pockets are sewn in the inside, or into the inside of the pants. We're gonna be doing these pockets on the next video, which are a little bit more, I wouldn't say difficult, but they're slightly different. But we need to do these pockets first. So the pockets, as we know, are gonna go roughly or usually from the belt line to this side seam right here. So we're gonna do something very similar here. I am gonna create with my internal line. Let's say, I'm gonna say from there. I want to have like very straight pockets, kind of like military style. So something like this. Actually, gonna stop on the seam right there. There we go. Yeah, those look cool. Now, I do think I'm going to change the curvature. Now that I see it, I'm going to give it a little bit more curvature. Because I do want them to be a little bit bigger. They seem to be slightly small right there. So let's go again into transform point segment and just move the segment up. There we go. That's a lot closer to what I would expect. So yeah, that's going to be my internal line. Now, this internal line, we actually do need to do something about it, right? And here's where you're going to have to decide. Do I want this character to be able to put his hands on the pockets, or do we just want the pockets for decoration? I think this one's we're going to leave for decoration, but if you wanted to build the inside of the pockets, just think about this. We need to create another layer on the inside and then make sure that everything is sewn together. So you can imagine that if I were to create like a polygon shape right here, we'll have to create like the pocket and then sew this pocket to the back side of this thing. And then we would have the internal pocket. I don't think we need it right now for this internal or for this shoulder. So I think we're just going to add like the little line there to make it seem like there's a pocket even though we don't have anything. So grab this guy, right click, and we're going to extend trim to pattern outline to make sure that we hit the pattern outline. And I'm going to grab this line, right click, and we're going to offset this internal line or right click. Yeah, why not? Okay, I think we're going to have to cut this piece out. So right click, cut and sew. There we go. So the pocket's now out on both sides. This would be the pocket. So again, this is the thing that we would need to extend. We need to extend this and create a little pocket there. I don't think we want to do it right now. So let's go to the pattern, grab this line, right click, and again, offset this internal. There we go. Now this one, we will go 10 millimeters, hit OK. And that's the line of the pocket that's getting built into the element. Yeah, what else can we do here? Yeah, offset it. So again, Control C, Control B. I'm gonna bring it down here. Or no, sorry. My bad. I'm getting the steps mixed up. Over here, we grab the segment point again, right click, cut and sew. And now this little piece that we have here, let's move a couple of things around so we have a little bit more space. You can see we're gonna have to do the same thing over here because they're not linked. So this guy, cut and sew. Oh no, it is cut, perfect, okay. So just grab both of them, right click, layer clone over. Let's keep them there, close. And again, we're just gonna start moving some patterns around to keep our workspace organized and know which one is up, which one is down, because that's the problem. We're gonna have a lot of little like things here and there, but that's exactly what's gonna give us this sort of like effect. There we go. So as you can see, we have that, and of course, we select the upper ones. We only need to select the upper ones. We don't need to change the particle densities on the lower ones because we're not gonna be seeing them, and we're gonna hit simulate. It's gonna puff them out a little bit, and again, it's gonna simulate the fact that we have pockets over there. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm gonna stop the video right here for now, and in the next one, we're gonna be talking about the other types of pockets, the pockets that are sewn into the character. Okay, so hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye bye. Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with pockets, and pockets are fun. We're going to go back actually to talking about pleats, if you remember them from a couple of chapters ago. So let's take a look at the reference real quick. Oh my god, I hate the new like Windows thing. It makes something weird. So as you can see here on the top, we have the sort of like a Velcro pockets. It's not a button, it's more like Velcro. And they have a pleat here on the inside. So this is something called a box pleat. And a box pleat comes from combining two knife pleats. So if you guys remember our pleat session, we mentioned that if you have a piece of fabric and you fold it and then continue, so 3 sections, right? So like this, it's first section, second section, and then third section. And of course, you sew these guys together and these guys together. That creates something called a knife pleat, right? And if you combine a lot of these knife pleats, well, you get the like pleated skirt, similar to what we did before. Now, if you were to grab this thing and mirror it to the other side, you will get this thing, which is called a box pleat, okay? And it follows the same rules. It's the same, like, basic thing that we're going to be doing. it's just called a box pleat, right? So that's what we need to do. We need to create a pocket, and we're gonna do a box pleat here on both sides. So the good thing is these guys are symmetrical. So if we grab our internal rectangle shape, let's add it right here. We're gonna create our box pocket. That seems about right. Maybe just position it a little bit lower. So just grab the sections here. Oop. Let's go to my transform point segment. There we go. Double click. There we go. So I would say right about there. Maybe a little bit more like horizontal. And yeah, that's gonna be our box pocket. So I'm gonna select the pattern, right click, and we're gonna clone this pattern. Let's move it like down here for a second. Now, of course, right now it's gonna be all the way up here, which we're gonna have to move. I'm actually gonna start moving it already. So if you guys remember, when we were doing pleats, when you do a pleat, you need, again, 3 sections. The 3 sections are super, super, super important. So we need to create our box pleat from this section right here. Now, I don't want to do the whole section, because if I do the whole section, then the pleat is going to be like super, super long. It's going to be like a super huge pocket. So I'm going to go here to my add point splines, or actually just select this. We're going to split this thing in half. So split, uniform split. Let's do 1. Okay. And then we can just do internal line. There we go. Of course, cut and sew, and we delete one of these pieces. Now, from this new piece, we're gonna extend offset as pattern outline. We're gonna extend our pleats. So here we're gonna decide how wide we want the pleats to go. I think we're gonna go with like 10 millimeters. Now, probably a little bit more. Let's go 20 millimeters. So we're gonna say 20 millimeters. We're gonna create internal line, and of course, we're gonna do a couple of more like this, 3. Okay, so we hit okay. Very important, super, super important that this piece right here, this first piece, is only half of the pocket. Okay, do not go further or higher, because then when we sew it back to the square that we have there, things are gonna be looking really, really weird. So I'm gonna grab this line now, right click, and we're gonna unfold, of course, and this is gonna create the pleats. Okay, so this big centerpiece is gonna go back into space, and then these things are gonna fold on front of it, and we're gonna sew all of the things together. Okay, should be fairly logical, but it is a couple of steps that we need to follow. Now, one of the good things about this is if we do this once, we can repeat these pockets as many times as we need. So now we're going to use our pleats tool. We're not going to be folding this by hand, so we're just going to run across, double click, and we're going to select a box pleat. Now, there's a couple of things that we need to take into consideration. First, how many lines do we have for each pleat? You might think, well, it's 3 per pleat, right? No, it's 2 per pleat. So we're going to change this to 2. Okay, so we're going to have 2 per pleat, per pleat. Then we need to select which one is going to be an inside fold and which one is going to be an outside fold. Do we want the pleat to be on the outside of the element, or we want the pleat to be on the inside? In this case, I want this to be on the inside. So as you can see, by default, it's going to try to create the pleat towards the outside. You can see that the outside fold is going to be red, this one right here, and we don't want that. We want the reverse direction. There we go. Actually, now that I think of it, oh yeah, we're fine here with the 2s. Well, let me just make sure that we're right there. Box pleats, and yeah, and we're gonna hit OK. Is this working? Let me try that again, because it looked weird. We should have the red lines on the other side. So this is a box pleat again. We reverse the direction because we want the outside fold to be on the outside, and let's hit OK. Now I'm gonna right click here, and to make the pleats fold a little bit nicer, we're gonna remove the gravity. You can of course let this flow freely, but in my experience, it's a little bit better if we just turn off the gravity. I'm also going to select everything here, like the pants. I'm just going to control K to freeze them, and now if we simulate, you're going to see that bloop, we get the pleat. Ta-da! The pleat is looking nice. We're getting more distance than I thought we were going to get, though, which is a little bit weird. We should be getting only half that distance. Let me go back a couple of steps here. Let's go here again, and let's again offset this pattern as outline. Let's do 2 segments instead of 3. Hit OK, and now we're gonna unfold. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Let's try this again. So pleats fold, double click, box pleat, reverse direction, 2 segments. There we go. That's what I want. So 2 external lines and then the internal line. I hit OK. Now, again, if we simulate, bloop, we get that nice little fold right there. So again, I'm gonna grab the whole pants, and we're gonna Control K to freeze them. There we go. And this is the pleat. As you can see, the pleat is like behaving the way I expect the pleat to behave. We're getting this very nice effect. But we need to change some of the sewing lines. So we're gonna go here to segment sewing, and we're gonna sew this line to this line. See that? And then we're gonna sew this line to this line. Okay. Same thing on the bottom side. So this line to this line, this line to this line. As you can see, it's to the outer edge. Very common to forget about that one. Let me change the simulation properties again. There we go. And then this is the important part. We're gonna use a free sewing to sew this line to this line, right? So we need to do the external line as well. Let me try that again. It's from here to there. There we go. So from the pleat in and from the pleat out. From the pleat in and from the pleat out. From the pleat in and from the pleat out. Perfect. Now when we simulate, ta-da, this is what we get. And as you can see, we get this very, very nice effect. You might need to increase the particle distance because it's just a, again, small piece. So let's do 10 and simulate again. Just pinch there a little bit. It's free gravity, so it's floating all the way. But that's it. That's going to give us the nice little like pleat pocket. And of course, it's going to give us a little bit more like space on the inside. So that's what's going to give us this sort of effect that we have here, like the inner line going on the pocket. So of course, now we need to sew in the pocket, but we don't want to sew. I mean, we could sew in the pocket just as is, just like this. But if we do that, the problem is that there's not going to be a lot of room in the pocket, right? So even though it would be perfectly valid to just sew this pocket into the square shape right here, we're going to extend the borders. So I'm going to grab this guy right here, this guy right here, this guy right here, and this guy right here. Right click, and we're going to offset this pattern outline. We only want one section, of course. And here's where we're going to decide how like thick or thin we want the pockets to be. I think 20 millimeters might be a little bit too much, so I'm going to go back to 10 millimeters. So I just want a little bit of room on the pockets and can hit OK. Now, the problem here is that the sewings, if you remember, we had some sewing lines here on the inside. So we need to just clean them up. So I'm just going to delete that one and that one. And on the top, it's fine. So this one's on the bottom, we need to rebuild. So we're going to, again, go to our free sewing tool. We're going to go from the pleat in and from the pleat out on the edge, not on the border, on the edge. So from the pleat in and from the pleat out. Perfect. Now, of course, oh, actually, I messed up here. There's one option when we offset the lines. One option that's called corner, like free corner. So right click, again, offset as pattern outline, and this one, unfilled corner. There we go. And let's go. Pattern lines. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right click, offset pattern outline, and it's this unfilled corner. Very important to do that one because those are the corners that we're going to be sewing, right? I mean, that should be pretty straightforward, right? We're just going to sew those two lines together. So that one and that one. Now here, this one's, be careful. Those are the ones that are messed up because it tried to like kind of like extrude the sewing line, and we don't want that. We want to keep the sewing line on the top border right there. So again, free sewing from the pleat in and from the pleat out, or a little blue dot. We know why that blue dot is important. And there we go. So now, if we were to, oh yeah, one more thing here. This is something that we haven't really talked about, but it's really, really important. Every seam or every border you have, every fold you have, will have something called the fold angle. So as you can see, this has a fold angle of 180. And the fold angle dictates where the line is going to be going. So in this case, since we want the fold angle to be going back to create the depth of the pocket, we're going to be changing this fold angle down to 0. Okay? Very, very important to do that. So now when we hit simulate, you're going to see that we create this nice little box, which is going to give us, well, of course, the volume for the element. If we were to leave the folding angle at 180, it's just going to be flat. It is going to show the things, but it's going to try to keep it smooth throughout the surface. And of course, if we go to 360, it's going to fold it to the other side. So again, if at any point you need to switch the way your fold or any edge on your cuts is working, make sure to just select it and change the fold angle. It's very, very like precise, particular detail, but it's part of the drill. So yeah, there we go. Now, of course, what I'm going to do here, so I'm going to say Control-C, Control-R to mirror paste another pocket on this side. And we're going to live link them. Or link editing. I always say live link. Kind of like think about Maya. Right click and symmetric pattern with sewing. There we go. That's the thing that we want. Let's keep the pocket down here. And then we're going to sew this, of course, free sewing. We're going to sew the border to the border. And then we're going to sew in the other border to the other border. Half of the pocket to half of the pocket. And the other half of the pocket to the other half. See how the pleat doesn't play any role in this thing? And that's why we had to keep the same like half distance of the pocket when we were building this. Otherwise, now that we're going to like sew everything together, things wouldn't work. So I'm going to grab this guy right here. I'm going to right click and say superimpose over. And as you can see, it's going to try to, actually that didn't work. I want to just like move it to where it's supposed to be. Let's just get them as close as possible. I mean, since the simulation is frozen on the pants, it shouldn't be that much of an issue. Let's just simulate. And ta-da! We have our two front pockets ready. There you go. Puffy, nice little detail, a little bit of depth. I know that here in the concept, you can't really tell whether or not there's a lot of depth. It doesn't seem to be a lot of depth, but I think it would be a nice addition to show you how to do the depth. Now, remember, at any point, you can just delete those little things and keep them really, really flat. I kind of like this sort of effect right here. Now, as you can see, these guys, they do have a couple of like stitchings and stuff. So let's do them real quick. I'm going to grab this guys right here, the square. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say offset as internal line. That seems about right. So, okay. And yeah, that's it. So eventually when we do the layer clone over and give this thickness, those little lines are going to give me a little bit more, detail on the whole thing. Now for the flap on the top, right? Like we want this sort of like a Velcro flap. We're going to go here to our polygon tool, polygon draw tool. We're going to start here. Let's go down. And then I would say like about, it's on the inside, so about there. And then out of the 45-degree angle. And then up there. Now if the points are not aligned, we know that we will just right click, align to point x-axis. There we go. Select this line and unfold. So that's going to be my little like cover for the pocket. So you can see we're going to see a little bit of the corner there. That's fine. Something that we want to keep in mind is that we need to have an internal line as well. So actually, yeah, let me go back. It's going to be a lot easier if we do it here. So I'm going to go the internal line routes instead. So the flap's going to go there, about there, 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 and there. There we go. Same deal. You can also unfold an internal line, which is fine. And now we're going to right click this and we're going to clone this pattern right there. And then this is the pattern that we're going to be working with. So as you can see, the pattern here, it has the Velcro thing. We're going to be using a pin to simulate the Velcro because it's not something that we're going to be seeing. But you can see that you can kind of like visualize first the seam on the outside, which is important, but also like the squarish Velcro like pack. So I'm gonna select the whole thing, right click, offset as internal line. That seems about right. And then we're gonna use our internal rectangle tool. Let's create a nice little rectangle there and move it the center. There we go. So it simulates the Velcro tab, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the little flap. So now the only thing we need to do is well, I'm gonna first of all Control-C, Control-R to copy the flap on this side. Select one, Select one, select the other, right click, symmetric pattern with sewing. There we go. And now we're gonna free sew or just segment sew. Actually, that's free sew because we have 2 segment points. So free sewing from one point to the other and from one point to the other. Let's bring both patterns up so they're a little bit closer and simulate. That's it. We have our little elements right there. Now, you might say, hey, you know what? Like, it's looking okay, but I think the patterns are a little bit too, like, small or they're too low. No problem. We just grab this internal pattern right here. We can make it bigger. Well, not bigger, but probably just, like, lower it. Because if we make it bigger, we're going to have to make the other, like, the flap bigger as well. Now, if we want to do that, just make sure to grab both of them. Let's make them a little bit bigger. And now it's just a matter of making sure this thing is aligned. There we go. And we simulate again. And now the flap's going to be lower. Perfect. Now the little square thing, the little square tab is, or wait a second. Why did that thing move? Let's go back. Sounds like we didn't select, like we selected the internal shape instead of the other one. So let's, yeah, I'm just going to move this down. There we go. So we simulate again. And now, there we go. So the little flap's going to be up. Now, let's give a little bit of detail to this, guys, right? So I'm going to grab this guy right here. Is that? Yeah. Just going to grab the whole thing here. I'm going to right-click and say clone layer clone over. Let's bring this here. And as you can see, that's going to give it a little bit more, like, puffiness to the whole thing. Actually, let me select both elements. Again, right-click, layer clone over. And that's it. So when we simulate, those pockets are going to look a little bit better. And we can grab all of the pants, hit Control-K to unfreeze. And we're going to have our cargo pants with those little like extra pockets ready to go into battle. It looks like we have the little Velcro stuff. And you guys remember the thing that we did before? So we can grab this guy right here, like the whole patterns. Let me just try and... Why am I trying to grab like the pattern? There we go. So grab the patterns. Let's change the particle distance down to 10. That's of course going to give me a little bit more detail. And for instance, I can grab this internal line or this pattern and change the shrinkage weft to 105. That's going to give me a couple more wrinkles as well. So it's gonna kind of like push it out. So it's gonna again look a little bit puffier. I'm definitely going to do the same thing here for the pockets. So I'm going to grab both pockets. Right-click, layer clone over. I know I'm going to place them like down here. But that's also going to give me a little bit more detail. It's going to make them a little bit puffier as well. So that's the kind of thing that you wanna look for, because otherwise you're gonna have to be doing this detail inside of ZBrush or other softwares. And if you can already get like this sort of effect here, I think it's really valuable. Let's just push this thing a little bit. That's the the pleat like working a little bit weirdly. But, you know, it's part of the simulation problems. There we go. Now, before we move on, let's change the fabric. I don't think we have a I don't think we have like a military like fabric. Military, no, we don't. But it's rather easy to find one. Give me 1 second. There we go. So I'm gonna go to the fabrics here, and I'm gonna look for denim, and I'm gonna bring in like a basic like denim, just this one right here, 100% denim. There we go. So pretty much every single part of my element is going to be denim. So we're just going to assign the denim effect so that we get a little bit of texture. That's super cool. And then on the denim, we can go to the texture map, and on your folder files on chapter 5, included this military pattern. So that we have this sort of effect. As you can see, the normal map that we had from the denim effect, it's gonna make it look quite nice. I do think the pattern's a little bit too big. So I'm gonna select any piece, going to texture. And we can edit the 3D texture. Let's make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the pockets. Now, of course, this camouflages. Maybe it's a little bit too much. Let me see if we can change Desaturation. Ooh, I like that. I think that looks way, way better. That way we can appreciate all of the details that we've included on the pants, right? Because I think the other color was pretty distracting. So yeah, so the desaturation there is going to really, really work. We can again play a little bit with the elements. Maybe this is like a snow effect or something. But yeah, I think I do want the pants to be a little bit baggier on the bottom side. So let's stop the simulation. Let's go back to patterns. Bring this thing down. And I'm probably just gonna select the lines on both sides. Just make them a little bit bigger. And probably a little bit bigger here on the inside as well. I just want them a little bit baggier on the bottom side. Oh, but yeah, that's a problem. Yeah. So as you saw there, it is working, but we also need to bring these little lines. Remember the lines that we did? So we also need to bring them down, because otherwise they won't match, and then we're gonna start getting some like crumply effect. That crumply effect that you're seeing there, that's a sewing problem. Yeah. No, let's keep it the other way. I mean, we can do it. It's just we're gonna have to move a couple of things, and I think it's better if I show you a couple of other elements. So before we finish this lesson, guys, one thing that I want to show you. There we go. Is how can we recycle these pockets, right? Like we created these amazing pockets here on the front. I want to have 2 more pockets here on the back, but I don't want to go over the whole thing again. Like I don't want to do all the like seams and stuff. No problem. The only thing we need to do is we need to copy these patterns to the back. And to do that is just a matter of grabbing the patterns, hitting Control C, and saying Control B over here. Now, as you can see, we definitely need to find like the proper position for this, guys. It's gonna be like closer to the center. I would say probably about there. That seems like a good position. And we're gonna grab this, guys, as well, like this whole thing. Control C, Control B. Just go there. Technically, like this thing should be working perfectly fine. The only thing we need to fix are the free sewing. So let's edit the sewings. And there's like outer lines that we have here. Well, that's part of the main line of the main pleat. It shouldn't be sewn onto anything else. So technically, again, we should be able to just let's grab this thing. Control C, Control R. Let's go over here. Let's start linking them. So right click, especially the first one. That's the most important one. So symmetric pattern with sewing, because those are the ones that are going to be sewn into the pockets. These ones are going to be like automatically sewn to where they're supposed to be sewn. So same thing for this one, like this main pattern right here. Let's right click and symmetric pattern with sewing. There we go. So now free sewing again. And we're going to sew the side of this guy to this back pocket. The side of this guy to this back pocket. And then half of the pocket to half of the pocket, and the other half of the pocket to the other half of the pocket. There we go. Of course, we're gonna sew in the top part here, the flap, to the flap. Cool. So now, again, to make our lives a lot easier, the best thing we can do is just grab like this whole pocket, and on the 3D view, help a little bit, right? The nicer we are with the simulation, the nicer the simulation is going to be with us. So about there should be fine. Grab this whole pocket right here. Bring it back. And bring it up. Now, again, to make sure that this thing works as nicely as possible, I'm going to grab the pants, Control K. Freezing, whoa, there we go. Freezing the transformations is really good when you have like really complex simulations, just to, again, save yourself a little bit of work. I'm going to save just in case anything crashes here. And let's simulate. And there we go. Back pockets ready. So yeah, that's as I mentioned, we talked about this before we were doing the pockets. If you do it once, you can just like copy and paste these pockets as many times as you want, and you can actually like export this garment or save this as a garment. So now every time you need a pair of pockets, you just grab this one and that's it. Like you only have to do pockets once, and that's it. I've seen several artists have like a collection of specific pieces, like different types of pockets, and that way they save a lot of time by just like importing them every time they need it. So yeah, that's it, guys. This is it for this part, the pockets part. And in the next video, we are gonna do a very quick shirt. We're just gonna do a very quick t-shirt. It's gonna be a small video just to give him something else on top here. And then we're gonna start decorating with all of the remaining accessories that we need here on the pants. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye bye. Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with the alien, with the military support thing. Again, part of our story. There's still a lot of things that we're missing from the pants, a couple of extra elements that I want to add. But yeah, if you take a look at one of the reference images that I added to your chapter folders, here we go. You can see that the shirt is a very simple shirt. It's just a typical shirt. It has a couple of more like folds, I think. It's like lighter, I would say. And but yeah, it's a very typical shirt. So that's why I'm gonna binding this chapter with the belt as well. We're gonna be working on the belt. Whoops. There we go. So for the shirt, it really makes no sense to start from scratch if we can just grab this guy right here and add it to our character. So hit OK, and there we go. We can definitely use our attachment points as we've used so many times before. And we're just gonna start adding it to the attachment points. There we go. Yeah, everything seems to be nice. So I'm gonna grab both of the back pieces, just bring them back. And technically, again, if we simulate, things should work fairly nicely. A little bit of overlap here on the shirt. I think we can just like get it out there. There we go. Cool. So I definitely want this shirt to be tucked inside of the pants, and we already again know how to do that. It's just a matter of grabbing this shirt. Let's move it up. I'm gonna grab the whole pants here. Let's turn off simulation, and on the layer, let's change this to layer 1. So now when we hit simulate, bloop, the shirt's gonna go inside of the pants, and we're gonna get some more wrinkles as well. Now he was very fit. If you remember from the original concept, he was very fit. So why not add just a little bit of a seam line here on the inside? I don't want to do a princess dart, of course. That would look a little bit weird. But we can definitely add just like a point there. And a point here on the back. And just create a small dart. Just a small dart so that the shirt fits a little bit like nicer. I know that probably in boot camp, people or soldiers don't get this benefit of having like a nice fitted shirt. But this is our character, so we can do a little bit of this, and that's gonna again help us with the overall tone of the character. Now, since he's wearing this sort of like winter clothes, we might wanna have like a white shirt or like a gray shirt. So I'm gonna go again into our fabrics, and let's look for just like a cotton, basic cotton fabric. I'm also taking a look at the pictures to see the amount of like deformation that we're getting, because I do want this to be like this one, like a little bit more, not as like this one has a little bit of spandex. I like that. So just double click, and there we go. Cotton stretch sateen. Just grab all of this, guys, and apply. It's gonna change the way it looks a little bit. It shouldn't be that much of a change, but it might be just a little bit. Now I do want to add a border on the sleeves. I know again on the reference, like we really don't have that, except maybe on the color. But I think it would look nice. And again, you're always, especially when you're working on your own projects, you're always free to do cool things for your own character. So I'm gonna go to the sections here, the top section and the back section. Right click, and we're gonna offset as internal line. And 5 millimeters seems to be a good amount. Maybe it's a little bit too little. It looks very thin. Let's go offset this internal line. Let's do 10 millimeters. There we go. That's a lot better. So yeah, as you can see, it's not going to the edge. That's not something that we want. So we're gonna extend trim to pattern outline. Let's make sure that we have the same thing on both sides. Okay, yeah, it's on both sides. Now I'm gonna cut the seam lines. So cut and sew. Oh, they're not. So oh, there you go. It's almost there. So again, Extend trim and add point to pattern outline. There we go. And now we should be able to cut and sew. There we go. And select this, guys. Cut and sew. And this one's cut and sew. Cool. Definitely need more geometry. So I'm going to grab, well, maybe not on this ones. I'm going to grab both of them. All of them. Right click. And we're going to say layer clone over. There we go. And then on these new ones, I'm going to reduce the particle distance to like 5. Because these are the ones that we're going to be seeing, right? So now when we simulate, we're going to see like a puffy neck there on the top. Like a color. And again, using the little trick that we did before, we can add a little bit of shrink weft or shrinkage weft here by increasing it. So let's go to 110. And that's going to give us a couple of extra wrinkles. Could give us a couple of extra wrinkles. We need to lower the particle distance even more because we're talking about like really, really thin fabrics. Like the amount of triangles that we have might not be enough. So let's go all the way down to 2. Yeah, even then, I think that's like way too small. But it's good. It's good enough for what we want. Now, I definitely don't want my center seam line. That's like way too weird for me. So, especially for a shirt. So I'm going to right click and merge. And we're going to do the same here. And of course here. Since they're not linked, we need to grab both. There we go. Let's go to the back. I also want to merge these two guys. I also want to merge those two guys. And since these are not linked, we need to grab both of them and merge. There we go. Now, when we simulate, there we go. This seems to be like split. It seems like we lost the connection. That's fine. Let's just delete it and do it again. So let's go into patterns, grab the pattern and the pattern, right click, layer clone over. Those guys again. Let's bring this all the way down to 5 and 105. Maybe let's try. Oh, let's try something bigger. I know this is gonna like really crunch them, but maybe we'll get something nice. Nah, not really. And the problem is that it's such a small line. It's gonna be a little bit difficult. Anyway, so let's go to the arms, and we're gonna grab these two lines. Right click, offset this internal line, 10 millimeters as well. Make sure we right click and extend trim and add point to pattern outline. Very important. We grab that line and we're gonna cut and sew. Boom. We got both of them. Grab them. I'm gonna bring them down, and then I'm gonna right click, layer clone over, and place them over the patterns. I mean, as long as they're in an easily readable position, it should be fine. Like, no need to be like super perfect about it. Grab both of those. Let's increase the particle distance or decrease the particle distance again to like 5. 105. And now we're gonna have a nice like outline there on the border of our shirts. So again, I know that it's not something that we might find on the official like army shirts, but it looks cool. Now we're gonna grab this guys, of course, all of this guys, and we're gonna change the particle distance down to probably like a 10, just to get a couple more wrinkles. There we go. So very form-fitting, very cool wrinkles all over the place. Cool. So the shirt is ready, the pants are ready. Let's grab everything here, bring back the layer to 0 so that we don't get any like weird lines. And let's create some space here. So for instance, the shirt, let's move it to the side, like there. I don't want to see it right now. And the pants, same thing. Let's move it to the side like this, because I want to see the silhouette. And now we're going to do the belt. So there's a lot of ways to do the belt, but we're just going to recycle what we have right here. So we already have the belt, this piece right here and this piece right here. So I'm just going to say Control-C, Control-B. Copy this right here. Well, actually, we're going to have to do that for all of the patterns. So let's select a pattern piece. That one, that one, that one, and that one. Control-C, Control-B. And that's going to be my belt. Now, this belt is going to be made out of something like a little bit stiffer. It's not, I don't think it's going to be cotton. So I know that they don't use leather. Let me see if they have something like nylon. Yeah, there we go. See that? That's a lot stiffer. So let's use the nylon. And then the nylon canvas, let's change the texture. Well, let's see if we can. Yeah, I'm gonna delete the texture there. Or no, color. Here we go, color. Let's make this like a dark gray. We're gonna grab our belt and apply the nylon color. There we go. So as you can see, we're gonna have some nice, interesting texture there. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna combine this element right here. I'm gonna merge it. So let's go into segments, merge. Merge. It should be a straight line, but we know, again, due to curvature and stuff, that's not going to be a straight line. Doesn't matter. It's still going to work the way we want this to work. Let's position this thing where it's going to be. It's going to be on top of everything else, like right about there. The layer, let's change this layer to 1, so this sits on top. And what I'm going to do is here on this view right here, I am gonna change the, well, first let's change the thickness here. Let's display like thick texture here, and let's change the texture. How thick is a belt? Like 5 millimeters? Yeah, I think 5 millimeters looks good. Maybe a little bit too much. Let's do 3 millimeters. There we go. And what we can do is we can start sewing the different segments back to where they belong, right? So just go here, and we start on this area. So let's go with, we can use segment sewing. You can sew that there, 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 and of course this guy to the back. Oh, it's overlapping. Okay, so it's already there. Now when we simulate, we're gonna get the belt on top. Okay, so just going around, holding the cloth together, a little bit of overlap here and there. That's fine. That's the kind of stuff that we want to bake into our normal maps if we're doing this for like a game and stuff. So I'm not too worried about those things. Now, what I do see on the belts, and pretty much everyone knows about this, are the little like loopholes, right? The loopholes through which the belts go. Now, for the buckle, by the way, I do believe we have some hardware here. Yeah, we have some. So we have this buckle right here. That's the only buckle we have, unfortunately. Let's see, we have... No, that's the only... You can just model one and instead of Maya or other places and do it. Of course, we're not going to be doing patterns and stuff for a buckle, but we can do the little like square pieces. So again, we already know like roughly the distance. It's 50.3 apparently. So we're going to go here to the rectangles. It should be a little bit bigger. So we can just, let's click and let's say height, we're going to have 52. And wide, it's probably going to be just like 20 millimeters or something. That's a little bit too much even. Like 10 millimeters. 12 millimeters looks a little bit better. There we go. So yeah, that's my loop. So the only thing I need to do is I need to Control C, Control R, like duplicate this to, like, let's say this place right here. Both of them are gonna share the same like military pattern that we have. And usually this guys, let me see if we have the reference here. They also have a little bit of like a sewing line on the outside or along the whole thing. So I'm just gonna right click and we're gonna offset this internal line. It's gonna be just like 1 millimeter probably, or like 2 millimeters maybe. Not 2, it's way too much. So let's do 1 millimeter. Hit OK. It's gonna be like a super small effect. Well, before we do that, it will be a nice and wise idea to select these two guys and say symmetric partner of sewing. Now we can do the offset this internal line, 1 millimeter. There we go. Both of them should have it. And we're gonna grab this guy and we're just gonna free sew this thing, like the top part, to like this area right here, and the bottom part to like this area right here. And the layers, of course, Like now, again, we can select this guy right here, bring the layer back to 0 because we already know that this thing is going to be on the bottom. Grab these two guys and change their layers. Remember to select the outer edge. Oh. So we select a pattern and the layer is going to be 1. Simulate. These little things, we're going to travel all the way down there. There we go. Now, I do think they're a little bit... Oh, the shirt got out. We might need to do a little bit of layer adjustment. I mean, it's super simple. So, let's grab the layer. This is going to be layer 1. The shirt's going to be layer 0. Sorry. And then the pants, except for the little loops here, are going to be layer 1. The belt's going to be layer 2, and this guy's will be layer 3. So this guy's going to be layer 2. And now, again, if we simulate, the shirt should be going in. I'm not sure if the shirt's not long enough. Huh, it's kind of weird. We can bring the shirt back, but that's fine. It's a small little detail. Now, one thing I'm noticing though is that the no, they're actually in the really close to the place, but we need more, right? And of course, these are really tiny and in like geometry. So let's grab the element and bring this down to like a 10. So we have a little bit more geometry, and when we simulate, there's enough curvature to create a little effect. Now, one thing I'm noticing though, as you can see, the sewing line is going. I mean, it does look like when there's a little bit of a gap there, it's barely noticeable at a distance. But if you want, you can sew it like higher. That might be another option. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it like that. We're also gonna add some thickness as well. So now I'm gonna grab one of this, Control C, Control B. We're gonna have one on the side. Oh. Sorry. Let's grab the external line, Control C, Control B. There we go. So we're going to have one on the side, and then Control C, Control B. We're going to have one on the back. Now, both of them, we're going to have symmetrical patterns as well. So Control C, Control R. Like this. So this guy's going to be like about there. And this guy... it's going to be, oh, it's a problem with working with super small patterns. There we go. So this one and this one are going to be symmetric pattern with sewings, and this one are going to be symmetric pattern with sewings as well. Cool. So again, free sewing. We're going to sew the top part of this element. Again, this is the belt, so maybe if we go a little bit higher, like to this area right here, it will look a little bit better. Let's try that again. So from there to there, from there to there, from there to there. This one has to be like, let's go down here to the pants instead of the belt. There we go. Let's do the same thing here. So top, 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 bottom, 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 bottom. There we go. Since we copied them, they should have the same like number 3 layer. So if we simulate, oh, sorry, they're way too far away. But yeah, there we go. So as you can see, we get their little straps where they're supposed to go. Yeah, some of them are having a little bit of an issue, like this one's got stuck the wrong way. So just like stitch them together. There we go. There we go. The shirt went a little bit crazy. But it's fine. That's how we add some belt loops to the whole thing. Let's stop the simulation. And finally, to make them look, of course, a lot better, we're just going to grab all of them. And we're going to say right-click. layer clone over, and that's gonna puff them out. And since we have the internal lines are gonna give us that nice sort of like zone effect there on the inside. We can also increase the particle distance as well. My simulation, as you can see, is getting a little bit slower and slower. It's kind of like part of the process. So yeah, I'm just gonna stop it right now. You can change to the GPU mode. We've talked about that one before. I don't think it's needed, right? So there we go. Now, one thing that we can do, since now everything is supposed to be on its place, we can just grab all of this, guys, set the layer to 1, and then grab my shirt and set the layer to 0. That's fine. And let's try to simulate again. Let's see if that, there we go. So you can see that the shirt is going back to its place, like underneath the pants. So there we go. That's behaving a lot better than what we, or a lot closer to what we want. Just stop the simulation. And there we go. Our pants are looking quite nice. Now we can grab everything again and just bring the layer back to 0 so that we don't see any blue lines. Let's turn off our avatar for just a second. And look at that. Not bad, right? Not freaking bad. A nice, easy shirt. That's an easy one. And then the pants right here. And as you can see, it's not a lot of time. We've been working on this for about an hour, I would say. And we're already in a really, really good position. So I'm going to stop the video right here, guys. And in the next one, we're going to be talking about the knee pads. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye. Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with the knee pads of our character. And as you can see in the reference, these are the knee pads. They are just a plastic thing sewn onto the remaining part of our character. And as you can see, there's actually like a pocket. It's kind of like something that's sewn on top of it. It gives a really, really nice effect. There's actually like another pocket there. We'll add it later. But yeah, it's this thing sewn on top of the elements, and I think having like an extra layer of cloth is also gonna make everything look a lot nicer. So yeah, let's do it. Let's start working on this. I'm gonna grab the shirt, Control K to freeze it. I'm actually gonna freeze everything, to be honest, because we don't need to work on anything just yet. Like, we don't need it to simulate anything. Everything up here is nicely simulated. So let's go here to the front view, and I'm gonna create another like internal shape, internal like polygon, or not polygon, internal rectangle, and we're gonna go right about there. So yeah, that looks cool. That's a little bit too low, so let's just move this up. Let's see if that looks a little bit better. I think a little bit more, because the knee pad's gonna be right there on the center. That's where the knee is. So that's the piece that we want. Perfect. So I'm gonna grab this guy right here, right click, and you know the drill. We're gonna clone this as pattern. Let's start working on this on this side over here. So this is going to be the pattern. We can actually have a different cloth. I don't think that's going to be the end of the world. It might look good to have like a little bit of color, like patterns. I know it's not as efficient as for a camouflage, but for our concept, I think it's going to look cool. And later on, we can just change the canvas if we don't like it. Let me save real quick before we continue. Always save. And one thing that I recommend as well, here I'm gonna do it as well. Save like different versions. So for instance, right now, this is my alien uniform, soldier uniform. I'm gonna save this as, I'm gonna save this as _002. That way, if for any reason my uniform, like from this point on, gets corrupted, the file gets corrupted, I can recover it. It's a really good habit that I would strongly recommend to everyone. So I'm gonna grab everything here, right click, and we're gonna offset as internal line. 5mm, I think is good. Hit OK, and that's gonna give me this line that we have there. It's part of the the sewing line that we can expect on the element. Now here on the insert, here's where we're gonna create this shape right here. And we're going to be using our internal polygon line. I'm going to go there. And then when I press and I click my first button right here, I'm going to right click. And as you can see, we can actually turn something called mirror creation. And if we turn it on, we're going to be able to mirror creation the whole thing. So I'm going to go here. Let me go back center. So it goes out. Again. Center, and there's like a little bit of a curvature, and then we go down, and then center. And here I'm gonna say mirror. The axis is gonna be x-axis, no, y-axis. There we go. And hit OK, and just hit enter. There we go. So now we have this pattern. Now I don't love this one right here, so I'm gonna right click and gonna say Let me see if I can delete that point. Right click. Oh, delete point. Nope. Let's just move it. So I'm just gonna use transform point segment. Oh, it seems like okay. I mean, another thing we can do, because I think, I mean, the mirror function is great, but I think right now it's making it a little bit more difficult. Let's just go back and use the unfold function instead. Okay, we'll grab the 2 points, right click, align to point axis Y. There we go. And then we just unfold. Cool. So that's going to be our knee pad shape, right? This is what we're going to be creating this shape right here. And as you can see, this shape right here is it's a plastic shape, but we already saw that we can do armor. So if you think about this as leather, it looks very, very similar to the leather effect. Now, I do think that these things right here, even though we could like model them with like patterns and stuff, I don't think we really like would like to do that in here, and we're probably going to be using like normal maps for that later on. So I'm going to right click here and here. We're going to right click and say, that's really weird. Click and clone as pattern. There we go. So it's going to be our knee pad right there. So this is the knee pad that we're going to be working with. Let's increase the particle distance a little bit. So let's say like 10. Of course, this thing is going to be sewn into this other element right here. And it's just a matter of giving it a little bit of shape, right? So we can add a new material. I'm going to make this like a dark, like a black material. Let's add it. And of course, on the thickness here, for the fabric, remember, let's give them some thickness. So it's like a big path. We can even go like really extremely like a 10. There we go. So now the only thing that we need to do is, of course, like sew this thing together. But as you can see, we do have some internal lines that look pretty cool, I would say. So I would like to add them. So I'm going to go here to my internal polygon lines. And I'm going to add 1, 2, and 3. And what we can do is we can actually like cut and sew them, right? So cut and sew, cut and sew, and cut and sew. That way, as you can see, we're actually gonna get some detail right there, like so a couple of polygons, like extra polygons there on the thickness that are gonna give me this sort of like interesting effect. Again, as I mentioned, for this guys, I would definitely model them or add the normal map in other places, but I just want to show you a quick little way in which we can well, add them right here. So now it's just a matter of free sewing. So we're gonna say free sewing, and here's the tricky part. Let's sew in the top part first, or actually let's go from the middle to the point, or rather from this point down, from this point down, and then from this point down, from this point down. Let's do little point click, little point click. And I know that it might seem like a little bit tedious to do it this way, but it's, I think, one of the best options if we want to keep our sewing lines as close as possible. Oh. There we go. So now, of course, let's turn off gravity again. So simulation properties. Oh, actually, we don't have gravity. So if we simulate, as you can see, oh, let's reset. Let's bring this pattern out. Again, remember that kind of like a mantra: help the simulation, so that it will help me. Ta-da! There we go. Now, I don't think we would need to, what's the word? I don't think we need to do any like layer over or layer under for this one. It will be like way too much, to be honest. So yeah, it's just a matter of now going again into free sewing. But we want this on both sides, so before we do that, let's Control C, Control R to mirror paste. Select these two guys, right click, and we're gonna say symmetric pattern with sewing. I'm actually gonna grab this guys, and I'm gonna do a layer clone under. Okay, so that we get the nice little like border effect. Now, wait, I'm using. Oh yeah, because this is the nylon canvas, right? This is the one we were using for the belt. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this, and I'm gonna remove the thickness. So 0 thickness. Let's grab this guys. Oh, again, let's grab this guys. Select this guy and apply. Let's rename it. So let's call this gray. And we should be able to. Oh, that's really weird. It's not letting me bring the thickness down. Okay, no worries. Let's just use the other cloth then. The camouflage, or we could just like bring the other one in again and just. There we go. So that's a lot thinner, as you can see. We do have the two like sandwich effect. And now, of course, we need to sew in the bottom part because this is the under part. It's on the back part. So we're gonna free sew the under part to the pocket size or the pocket places here. There we go. And let's sew in this under part as well to this other pocket right here. Oh. That's it. Cool. Again, in this case, since everything is frozen, it shouldn't be that much of an issue, so we can just simulate. And as you can see, the pockets go right where they belong. Now here's where we're gonna define whether or not they're at the knee distance, and they seem to be just a tad bit lower, just a tad bit. So what do we move? We only move the patterns, these ones, right? No need to move anything else. We just bring these things up, and that's it. Because when we do that, of course, the sewing lines that we have for all of the other elements are gonna go up as well. And that's it. That's gonna give us an extra layer of like a cushion there, like an interesting effect, and yeah, it's just gonna look nice. So now we can grab everything else again, especially the pants, and just hit Control K again to simulate. And this is what we're gonna get. Our nice little like tactical pants with this guy. Now this is way too dark. I think we can't even see things properly. So let's make them like a dark gray. There we go. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, one thing that I realized, I forgot about that, but we turned off geometry, or we turned off gravity, remember? A while ago when we were doing the pleat pockets. So one thing that we definitely need to do is bring it back so that things fall, right? Because right now they're just crunching and they're not actually falling. So let's go back to simulation properties and let's bring our gravity to -9 9800. And now when we simulate, things should fall a little bit better. There we go. I still think we would benefit from a little bit more length, to be honest. But since there's gonna be, or there would be boots and stuff, maybe we don't really need it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now again, if we take a look at the concept here, you can see that there's like I can see like an X. I'm not sure if it's a flap or something, but what I've seen is this sort of like extra lines on certain parts of the pants that again give them a little bit more texture. We're missing like the hems on the bottom part. So let's use this opportunity to add that sort of stuff. So I'm gonna go here to this area, and I'm gonna use my internal polygon line, and I would say right beneath this guys would be a good position to add like a line. There we go. And then I'm gonna add one more straight line, of course. Just hit enter. And now I'm gonna select the segment. Let me see if I can clone this as internal. No, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that. I'm gonna say extend between to internal line. Extend between to internal line. There we go. Let's see if we now get like a line. Cause I want to get a line here. So right click, and we're gonna have to cut and sew. Okay, so easiest way to do this. I don't want to cut and sew and create like a bunch of different things. So I'm just gonna Control C, Control B, duplicate this, and now we cut and sew on this copy. So cut and sew, and these two extra patterns we delete because this is the only little like line that I want or that I need. Select this one right here. There we go. And now again, just try to bring this into a place where it makes sense. So like down here would be nice. And we're gonna sew this line with free sewing from there to there, and from there to there. We are of course gonna Control C, Control R. I don't think this one has the sewings though, so again, free sewing that guy there. Now I'm gonna do this on the front only. There we go. And again, just to make our life easier, let's bring this thing to the front. Simulate. And that's it. So we're gonna get an extra little like support line right there on the pants, which is also gonna make it look a little bit more interesting. It's all about like adding a visual interest to the whole thing, right? Like making it look as nice as possible. So yeah, I think that's it. Again, taking a look at the reference, I don't think we're missing anything. He has a couple of straps and belt buckles here, like this one right here, because this one's just another pocket right here on the side, which we can very quickly add in just a second. And yeah, I don't see any other problems, to be honest. So the other thing is again the side pockets, but I don't think I'm gonna add them to this guy, to be honest. I really like how this one looks right now, and I think if I added that, it's gonna look a little bit too noisy. So yeah, the only thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the colors a little bit. So for instance, this one right here, which is the thick panel there, let's change the color to like a lighter gray. I mean, I do want this to be like a reinforced something, but I want to keep it camouflaged. Same for the nylon canvas belt. Let's go for like a lighter gray. There we go. So maybe this is like a snow, well, not a snow uniform, but it would be. Sometimes I call it. I've seen them call this like a urban camo, right? Because it meshes or merges nicely with concrete and all of the buildings and the streets and stuff. So yeah, this is pretty much it for the uniform. Yeah, that's it, guys. I'll see you back on the next one. There's still a couple of things I want to add to this guy, but that's definitely it for the uniform. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye bye.